Stupid. That is how I currently feel. I have been reading Chainsaw Man for many years now. I've been making content for it for many years now. I thought I knew all of Fujimoto's tricks, at least well aware. And he just hit us with the oldest one in the book. The easiest, the simplest, the literal straight in our face. The entire time of Chainsaw Man Part 2 was a complete lie. It's not even being dramatic to say that this quite literally changes everything, because now we have to go back and read the entirety of Chainsaw Man Part 2 to fully get the bigger picture of this story. Fami was never Fami. Fami is the Death Devil. The Death Devil is the problem, and she's been pulling all of the strings since day one. So anytime you ever thought that Fami was doing something sneaky or she clearly had something up her sleeve, now you have to apply that to Death. And now you have to think about Death's perspective. What is she trying to do? Why is she doing all of these things? She's already here on Earth. Public safety didn't know either. No one knew, not even her sisters, not even Naoyuta, not even War. So what is going on? Where is the goal that we've had in our heads this entire time? The prophecy, the Death Devil descending on Earth. She's been here since day one. Honestly, it's frustrating that something so simple is so efficient, so normal and standard within writing has worked and been utilized so well. That's the beauty of it, right? Like, it's there in our face, the simplicity of it, yet none of us picked up on it. And just all of the signs pointed perfectly to that. It now suddenly makes all the more sense. The guillotine, the endless hunger, the way she treated Naoyuta, potentially Naoyuta still being alive, her view of the world, even the head tilt with the hangman motif. Like, really? It was in our face, but Fujimoto hit it so effortlessly and intertwined it perfectly with famine that it just made sense. There's a lot of different percentile of readers for this story. People that read it occasionally, people that dislike it, people that read it very often, and then there's like the top percentage of people that are theory crafting and doing like full breakdowns and analysis, right? The top percent. Alongside them is us YouTubers to an extent, right? We are in that top percentile, I would say. And it's frustrating, aggravating, annoying even that all the work that I've spent talking about Chainsaw Man for years now, all the theories and the ideas, as much as they all sound great and grand and, really interesting to come up with and could or could not be a possibility perhaps, you just miss something so simple like this. You just never question it, you never expand upon it. There's really no way to build an idea or a theory around Fami being death because there's so little to actually go off. And when I say that, I mean like the trails after. Like, yeah, I could say death was Fami this entire time and here's all the symbolism for it, but I can't really give a reasoning. I can't really build anything after that. I couldn't get into the mind of Fujimoto, and honestly, that's kind of the most frustrating thing. We've all been played. Every percentile of reader for Chainsaw Man has been played in the best way possible, and honestly, it makes a reveal like this, a plot twist, so exciting, so energizing. It shoots a big adrenaline shot into the core of Chainsaw Man's story, because now, like any other week but on a much larger scale, we don't know where this goes. We don't know what this looks like. We don't know what this means. Was the prophecy a lie? For whatever reason, has public safety known that Fami was death? Is there more here to this entire situation? And even with the reveal of death being Fami, it makes you question her goals. What is she trying to accomplish? Because when you think about the prophecy, Nostradamus, the age of devils, etc., and then how the Fami we knew was responding to that, clearly it doesn't line up. Death was talking in a way where either Death was hiding the reality, playing coy or the middle ground, or she genuinely doesn't want whatever is about to happen. So now I'm questioning what is about to happen. If Death wasn't the problem this entire time, is there something worse than that? Another being or entity or an effect that Death has on this world? We call it the Age of Devils and connect it directly to death descending on Earth, but if she's been here the entire time, clearly that's wrong, or it has been at least misinterpreted. So then I point the direction over to someone like War. Previously, I said that perhaps War is the Age of Devils, that she is the problem, that she will bring on death and destruction in the form of eternal warfare. This would do a lot of things, and this would go against what our Fami death situation was trying to avoid, the end of the human race. War would make it so the world is stuck in eternal warfare, conflict. Perhaps if she were to kill death, she could repeat that cycle, turn it into a perpetual loop of complete and utter annihilation. If for whatever reason she controlled death, that would give her a higher chance of controlling someone like Pochita, who is erasing or extinction. Whoever comes first will lead to the downfall of the other one. If you take both of those people out of the picture, theoretically, War could have what she wants. Eternal warfare, hell on earth. That idea sounds nice, but then I think about this chapter and about the real Fami's perspective and how it changes a little bit. This chapter is really fun, it's playful, lingers around the idea of famine and death and like the whole reveal itself. It really just happens. So you have two characters here that are kind of confused. Obviously, our new famine is like, I'm not deaf, what are you even talking about? And our fake chainsawman, which, ironic for the situation, is also confused. So they are on the same boat, unsure about what is going on. Then death actually appears, old famine. Of course, with falling, subdues them very easily. But there's words that new famine says tickles my interest. Big sis, if you still feel anything for mankind, then please die right away. Genuinely taking it too far and looking way too deep into it, this tells me a couple of different things. Old Fami, now death, does actually care about mankind. Theoretically, she can't actually die. Maybe she has tried to before. There'd be no reason for this new Fami to even have this type of perspective that heavily leans into the idea of death feeling something for mankind. The other is that it sounds urgent, that you need to die right now, yada yada, in case perhaps something else might happen. Now, what is that something else? Is it Nostradamus' prophecy? Is it the age of devils that death being alive would actually produce, or is it something to do with war? I mention it this way because of the last panel specifically. When you see the design of death not having any organs, the big slit up the middle, just a bottomless pit, explains why she's constantly hungry. She mentions that she disposed of all of her organs and still couldn't die, which contextually makes me think that she's tried to kill herself before. For the benefit of the human race, she would perhaps go back to hell if she could. But perhaps she can't. I would not mention this without the context of New Fami's words. It feels almost within the realm of possibility that there is an external factor here that neither of them can control, whether it be death or Fami or war, Nostradamus, etc. And it seems like death has actually tried to do something about it. This would kind of fall along the lines of the words that old Fami, now death, has been saying this entire time throughout the story, that she likes humanity, that she wants to kind of protect it. She wouldn't want to get rid of it. If that's true, what is coming that she can't actually stop? And if she is indeed the actuator, meaning that she has to die for it to be stopped, then what component are we actually missing? Fake chainsawman gives a pretty good description of how death works. Savior through death. Does that make sense? But Fami hasn't done this, from what we know, at least to an extent that would go against her words. See, for the characters that have died, and for the people that perhaps have been transformed, maybe it's a scale thing. I don't think Nayata has died now. I'll give you an example. On one side, maybe she tried to save Nayata through death, which in her own variation would be sending her back to hell, etc. There's also the possibility that she can just revive her anyway, but on the other side, other characters haven't had that opportunity. And by her own words, she really likes the food within humanity. Do you see how those two things don't really line up properly? She wants chainsawman. That's the goal. That's the reason you take out Nayata, so you can turn him into full armor Pochita. Now I'm thinking that her whole ploy was to actually put war and chainsawman at ends to each other, to kill, to fight to the death. But then I asked the question of why wouldn't Fami do that from the beginning? If war was perhaps the problem, why not kill her when you had the chance? But then again, maybe war isn't the problem. maybe it is Chainsaw Man. Maybe it is Pochita. But then I think about his power, his effect on the world for humans and devils, and while very climatic and pivotal, sure, you could erase concepts that could end the world. Maybe that's what she was scared of with Chainsaw Man falling into public safety, breaking him out. It kind of makes sense. But wouldn't she also be worried about Chainsaw Man being controlled by someone like War? So maybe trying to kill or control Pochita or Denji would have been the better option to take him out of the picture. I have always seen Pochita as being a balancer, someone to keep the ecosystem in check if it starts to go out of control. The four horsemen cannot keep each other in check if primal fears also can't keep each other in check. The one thing that is an anomaly between all of them and is powerful enough to keep them in check is Pochita. If you take that out of the picture, maybe that is the problem. That there is no balancer in check, that however strong one horseman or primal fear could get, others would not be able to compete. They don't have the ability to keep up. Pochita does. To be honest, I love this reveal. As a reader, as someone that makes content, as someone that has been talking about Chainsaw Man for many years now, as much as I may be frustrated, it's all in good jest. Even through the rough parts of Chainsaw Man, the weirdness, the murkiness, Fujimoto continues to show why he is the author he is, why he is so unpredictable, and why you can never feel comfortable around him. It's fine to have your quarrels with the story, not like certain elements, not like certain pacings, etc. That's fine, that's normal, that's natural. But to say that this man is washed or ran out of ideas or anything else to that extreme is just not true. And all it took was the most simple, on the nose, right in our face plot twist. Probably anyone could have guessed, and people probably did guess for many, many years, but we just had nothing to go on. And a twist, mind you, that completely recontextualizes the story, like to a T. That's not being dramatic, it quite literally changes our perspective on everything. So now what we have to do is we have to go back and read the entirety of Chainsaw Man Part 2 to paint the full picture. That is what I will be doing, that is what you should be doing, and then we can reconvene when I talk about this next. Because honestly, I have to, separately, not in like a chapter video. I want a solo video, tomorrow, the day after, perhaps next week.